Blog Talk Radio. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard. Hi everyone, it's Natalie Jean, it's Natalie Jean, it's Nat. Chatting with Nat, yes, we have Americana indie pop singer-songwriter Erinn Peet Lukes. Nashville-based Americana indie pop singer-songwriter Erinn Peet Lukes releases her new EP, EPL, on March 4th, 2022. Recorded in Nashville in March 2021 and produced by songwriter-musician Rachel Baiman, the songs were inspired by Luke's love of the bluegrass music she studied, played in the past, and the pop and rock music she grew up singing. Her former tour manager once says, You can't love Earl, Scruggs and Taylor Swift at the same time. Luke's vowed to make music for those who do. Let's give her a round of applause. How are you, Erinn?
I'm great. I love the live studio audience. The applause. Yeah, that's awesome.
My hands would not be able to do you justice. So you need to feel warm and fuzzy. So, you got to have that applause out there.
Yeah, I feel it's a rainy, cold day, but I feel warm and fuzzy right now.
All right. Well, I did my job. I'm happy. So how have you been during this whole crazy past 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, my whole life changed. Like, one of the biggest things was I always resisted getting a dog because I was traveling so much, and then the pandemic hit, and it was like, I thought I was going to die unless I got a dog. And so I got a dog, and now I have a dog, but I'm back to traveling and touring again. So now I just do it with the dog or, my parents watch her. But yeah, seriously, really I did a lot of things I've been always meaning to do because of the pandemic and everything.
I love you already. And I have 2 cats, but eventually I want to get a couple of dogs. I love animals. And, during the pandemic, a lot of people, it was the greatest thing for animals. People were adopting or fostering left and right. It was a beautiful good thing.
They were. I did hear about some sad instances, I heard some sad instances where a lot of people gave their animals back once we went back to work, which makes me really sad.
Yeah,
you gotta be ready for it,
Yeah, that bothers me. That hurts me. Especially, I just don't understand people that have had their pets for years, and then they have to move, and some have left their pets in the home. Some have. They rehome. Well, if they rehome them, that's great. I don't know why they can't just bring the pets to the shelter. That is just cruel. And then you see. I have a cat. I adopted a cat too, and I got the cat. The guy who owned him before just moved and was like, I don't want to move with this cat. So, he rehomed him to a good home, but I was just like, how could you raise a cat for 5 years from a kitten and then just not want it? It just doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And I have to confess, I'm one of those ones that are on either Instagram or Facebook, and they'll show you stories about animals being mistreated or homeless on the streets. And I'm one of those that'll sit there for hours bawling, crying. Oh my God, why do these people do this? I just, oh my gosh, I don't know. I just don't know why these people do that, but they're out there, and hopefully all these animals eventually get homes of their own because they need. And what people don't realize is that animals are very sensitive. Those that are returned back to the shelter, they'll sit in a corner, they'll cry, they're scared. They just, you're exactly right. You better be ready for all of it, and you better keep the pets. Okay, that's for me.
Yeah, once you adopt an animal, you take on their financial responsibility of their health and their well-being until they pass away. That's just the way that's how I feel about when I got my animals. I got them, the cat was 5, the dog was 3. And I was just like, these are my pets until they die. I'm just going to make sure that they have the best life possible because that's my responsibility now. See?
Oh my God, I love you. You're a fur mommy. You are a fur mommy. You have joined the ranks of the fur mommy.
Yes. I think everybody who follows me on social media knows that I am completely a fur mom. 1,000%.
Right. Now, obviously, the pandemic and everything surrounding the pandemic was crazy. But there are some, there's cons, there's pros. Obviously, the cons is people got sick, people died, a lot of people lost loved ones. Some people are still on ventilators, some people had to have limbs amputated. But on the pro side of things, yes, there are pros. And I always tell people this, the oddest things for me that I saw were people walking outside with their families, because people are so consumed with walk or their cell phones and stuff like that. And people had the time to walk outside. Animals and Mother Nature, when we weren't outside, the pollution level went down. The animals in the trees were like, oh, this is so lovely. Do you think they'll come back? Hopefully not. But we did come back. There are people that decided to cut back on work hours because they realized they weren't spending enough time with their families. There are people that completely quit their jobs because they realized, oh my gosh, I need to do something that makes me happy. Money's great, but after this pandemic, it seems like life is even shorter. And then you have artists that decided to rebrand. You have artists that decided just to do their own thing, create new music. There's a lot of introspection, a lot of self-reflection during this time. So during this time, did you take time to self-reflect? Did you decide to stay the same as the artist? Did you want to do something different? What did you think about?
Yeah, I definitely went through that. My band of 7 years, it wasn't quite a breakup. It was more like a disintegration because the pandemic made those guys think about what they wanted. And, one of my bandmates went on to join another band. One of my bandmates decided that where his music wanted to go was not necessarily where my music wanted to go, which was hard. And then once that happened, I was like, usually with that band, whenever someone left, it was clear who was coming in next. It seemed to work out where like one person would leave, but we turn around and there it is. There's the next person that's supposed to be in the group. But I didn't see the future anymore with that band. And it really sounds like a relationship whenever I talk about it. But yeah, so I just was like, once I finally allowed myself to could I let go of Thunder and Rain? Is that something that I'm willing to let go of? And I thought, yeah, it feels like it might be time to just not, because I was grasping so hard to try to make it work. And I literally just let go, and that was it.
Wow. Yep. A lot of things changed. I know for me, I definitely, before the pandemic, I was like, oh, I want to be more effective player with my music because I do a lot of social impact message songs. And then during the pandemic, I said, I'm definitely doing that. There's a lot of things we learned through the pandemic, about friends, family. Some people we just had to let go of. Everybody I talked to, some people were like, yeah, I unfriended quite a few people. Didn't realize they were so, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It's been truly an interesting dynamic trying to live through this. And there were mornings I would pinch myself and say, okay, are we in the 21st century? What's happening here?
Yeah, I know. It does feel very unreal. Yeah.
Yeah. You think about something like this would have, 1930s, 1940s, not 2020. No, not that time. Now, how did you discover bluegrass and country music? Was it something that you heard, something that you saw? What was it that made you say, okay, Erinn got to do bluegrass country music?
Yeah, it's actually funny because a lot of people grew up playing bluegrass with their families or whatever, and I really didn't. I had no sense of bluegrass or country growing up. I grew up in Southern California where it was all about ska and punk and Red Hot Chili Peppers and Snoop Dogg, and which are all really great bands. But I was in college in Seattle, and Seattle has a pretty big acoustic old time scene. And I saw this band at this coffee shop that had banjo, mandolin, fiddle,
And they weren't quite bluegrass. Now that I think back, they were a little bit more old time, a little bit more, just not quite like the hard driving bluegrass that is in Nashville that I go see now. And I just remember I couldn't describe what that music was, but I saw them and it was like, I want to do that. And I had several realizations like that. Another one was when I was studying abroad, because even though I saw them, I was like, that's amazing. I didn't quite grasp what it was, nor could I find it. But then my friend introduced me to a band called Crooked Still, and they're sort of like they do a lot of bluegrass standards in really cool modern ways. And when I listened to them, I was like, whatever this is what I want to do. And then the kind of the final straw was Down from the Mountain, a documentary about Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Right, yeah.
It's like Gillian Welch, Alison Krauss, Emmylou Harris, Ralph Ryman, like singing together. And I used to watch that documentary every single night and just kind of like, I just absorbed it. And then ever since then I was on the rabbit hole. But it took me a little while to finally break in and realize what I needed to do. And then when I realized it, then I started listening to a bunch of bluegrass and going to the bluegrass jams. And going to the jams is really what taught me how to do it.
That is awesome. Now, do you play an instrument?
Yes, I play guitar. And then I also can play mandolin and ukulele and piano, but guitar is my main instrument and what I dedicate a lot of time to and what I teach.
That's awesome. I love artists that play an instrument. I don't play one. This is the year. I keep saying this every year. And I've had a smart keyboard.
Hey, well, now you know a guitar teacher. I do virtual lessons, so we should link up on that.
Yes. Well, you know what? I tried to start a couple years back. I tried to do the guitar, and I felt like a contortionist. And just recently, somebody said, they have they make guitars for women. I don't know why they didn't tell me this at Guitar Center. So
or they make it part. You can get. I don't know if it's. I don't know. I mean, that sounds kind of funny. A guitar for women. I think maybe what they mean is they make smaller guitars, like parlor size, 3/4 size guitars. Yeah, because some guitars can be huge. Like my Taylor is giant, but like you can get a Recording King and it's parlor sized, and like I recommend that to like parents of like 10, 11, 12-year-old girls because their hands can handle it.
Yeah, so I may take you up on that, but I do have a smart keyboard here that's been in a box for 5.5 years that I was like, you hook up your iPad to it and it teaches you how to put. I'm gonna open the box. This is the year because every time I hear somebody say,
2022,
2022, I hear everybody play. I played this instrument, that instrument, but I definitely would love to learn how to play the guitar. So I may contact you when I get one. A smaller guitar and learn how to play. So that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to be authentic as a person and in your songwriting?
In the songwriting, I mean, it's not that important, I guess, because sometimes as a songwriter, you just make stuff up.
Right.
Like I often write from like a true experience, like something that happened to me, but then I'll just sort of like twist it a little bit because either I don't want the person who's it squarely about to know. So I'm like, that's a little too on the nose. I'm going to twist it a little bit, or just to make the story make sense. Like people, like for instance, I wrote this song about my family and the house I grew up in. And there's this line where I say mama's working in the yard and daddy's gone on like daddy's off or something. And my parents make fun of it because they're like, you make it sound like he's left the family and also mom hates yard work or something. And I'm like, I mean, it's literally just, it's a song. I'm just saying what fits, with the mood and the lines and the rhythm and all that stuff. So honestly, to me, authenticity in a song, I guess like I want to be my authentic artist self, but my authentic artist self likes to make shit up. Sorry. Make stuff up.
I like that. Yeah, you can create whatever you want. No, I think that's awesome. And
that's how I feel about it.
All right. And what artists inspire you?
Well, lots of different artists. Like as far as musical artists, I mean, you mentioned her in my bio, which is Taylor Swift. Really inspires me. And has for almost my whole damn life, seems like. I like the way she's developed as a songwriter. She's writing now, like she's kind of write about love and heartbreak and all that stuff. now she's sort of writing these like story songs, like intricate characters and situations. That almost like she watched a movie and decided to write a song about it. And that's pretty cool. And I just like some artists, like I like seeing them evolve. Like Casey Musgraves is another one.
Yeah.
She's like evolving through time, and writing about different things and doing different things with their music. Whether or not you like her direction doesn't really matter to her, and I like it. So whatever. I just feel like people love to say things about women musicians like, oh, well, now she's all pop. It's like, so? Who cares? Like, she's doing what she wants. I don't know why. And they don't care what you think. So, you know, I just like to see the women songwriters evolve through time. That's been really, any woman songwriter evolving through time inspires me.
Now, what do you think about that, the whole genre thing? So, you know, a lot of people want you to be in a specific genre. And I do many genres. Now, I'm focused on Americana, singer-songwriter folk right now because I just love the storytelling aspect of those. And I do like the instrumentation. I have to be honest with that. But a lot of people, especially that I interview, they're like, they don't like to say that they're a specific genre, which I think that's great because we don't tell artists that paint, look, you didn't put a dash of orange or blue in here and this is wrong and this is not the true work that you're supposed to be doing. So why do they do this to musicians? So how do you feel about that whole genre thing? Because I always say I'm an artist, I create.
Yeah, I feel like every recording project requires something different. So, like on this EP that I'm putting out, I have a song called Queen, and when I wrote it, I heard it as a pop song, like straight up as a pop rock song, pretty much. And so when it was time to record it, it would feel not authentic to the song to put fiddle and banjo in it, as much as I am obsessed with fiddle and banjo. And honestly, I tend to, when I listen to music, I listen to more music with like more acoustic elements in it than I do like pop too. But like, it's just kind of, for me, it's like, what does this song need? What is it calling out for? And so I think that's why the genre conversation, you know, when you're in a band, like when I was in a bluegrass band, the last album we did, we wanted to make progressive bluegrass because that's what we were and kind of what we developed into at the end of the day. And so we set out to make like the best bluegrass album we could possibly make, and that had with it its genre. But like when you're a solo artist, I kind of think you have more freedom to experiment.
Right. Exactly. And I'm the type of person, you know, I like to put pair instruments that have never been paired together just to give a different sound.
Oh.
You know, yeah, I love doing that. And you know, I was researching country music the other day, and I didn't even realize there was like country gothic music.
Wow, I've never heard that music, but I bet it's cool.
Yeah, because I have a song that's coming out on February 11th, and I wanted to.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks. And I wanted it to be kind of dark and kind of folk singer-songwriter, just mixing it all up. And then so I was researching on Google, and there's like, there's country gothic, and I'm like, what? I love this. And I wrote this song. It's basically more for sync, but it's about the pandemic and stuff like that. And I like to put curveballs in my stuff. I just like to create the music that I want to create. I don't like having a standard form. So let me ask you this. When you are writing your music, do you prefer to stay in a standard, like, you know, I recently learned, even though I do country, that they want everything to rhyme and you can't use this word. And my whole concept is that it's about telling a story. Why does it have to rhyme? Anyway, and sometimes I'll write like it's a poem. I won't have, you know, like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, and all that stuff. I just like to do what I want to do. And I think we should be more, you know, artists should be more open. I think some artists are afraid to do that because they like to stay in the standard form. But I love being open and creative with my music so that somebody, when they listen to it, they're like, oh, I didn't think of doing something like that. That's interesting. So with your artistry, are you open to doing not crazy things, but interesting things out there with your music?
Definitely. I was thinking about this with an artist named John Hartford. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's kind of a bluegrass troubadour type person from, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And I think he passed away in the early or mid 2000s. But he wrote so much music, and some of it is so strange that it's almost hard to listen to. But some of it is the most brilliant song you've ever heard. And I kind of think in order to get like the brilliant song, you have to write all the weird stuff too. Like I feel like I'm guilty of always trying to write the hit every time I sit down. And I've really lately come to find that it's way more fun to write like a painter paints. You have several canvases or you have several songs in the works, and you kind of touch on things and experiment, because I think if you don't experiment and let yourself get weird or do this, then you're never going to get that. Like, because John Hartford wrote Gentle on My Mind, which is the most recorded song in history. And Gentle on My Mind is like so brilliant, it'll give you chills just reading the lyrics, because it's that brilliant. But I don't think he would have gotten there if he wasn't out there doing a bunch of weird stuff too.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love experimenting. You know, a couple of people have asked me to, you know, co-write on songs and like country music. And then one person said, you kind of dip a toe out. And I really like that. You're not afraid to do different things. I said, because life is short. I mean, for me, the radio stations are inundated with the same type of music over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know, people want something different, and people want music that they can relate to also. You know, it's not always, you know, love, relationship, yeah. But there's like more in the world to write about, you know? And I think, and I talked to a lot of people that during the pandemic, there were more people listening to independent artists than before because they had the time to. You know,
totally.
And independent writers.
Live streaming too.
Yeah, and independent writers for me are deeper than a lot of the mainstream artists. We write from our core. So you moved to Nashville from Colorado. How is that?
Yeah.
Was it like a culture shock? What was your initial reaction to the move?
It was a culture shock, honestly, especially because I moved in the middle of the pandemic, and like the pandemic differently than Colorado does, and so I was sort of used to being treated one way, and then it was being treated a different way when I moved here, and there were pros and cons to both, right?
Right.
Because like it was nice to actually be able to go out and like meet people and play music again when I moved here.
Right.
Like that was nice. The caveat is I got COVID again, you know, so it's like when you take the risk, you take the risk, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like there's no judgment either way, I think, but at the same time, it was certainly a shock because I was just really shocked to see people, you know, not going as hard into the protection level of the pandemic as they were in Colorado. So then now I get culture shock when I go back to Colorado and I'm like, oh yeah, I have to put my mask on to go to a store. And I'm like, I'm really trying to talk about it as neutrally as possible because it's really hard to talk about this and not, you know, start to get into arguments with people. But at the same time, it's the truth is Tennessee treats it differently than Colorado. And that was shocking to me. And that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, it's funny because during the pandemic, I went to Oklahoma and it was totally different. Oh, wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Don't worry. You get in a car? Yeah. No, you don't need to. In this, it's just like, okay, my head's about to spin off because I don't got this.
Yeah.
This is too crazy.
It was hard. I felt like, you know, there were people who it was either I was hanging out with people who didn't care about the pandemic. Right. And were sort of reckless about it. But, hey, I had friends, and they were hanging out and playing music with me. So I was like, this is cool. And, you know, I'm taking my risks and making my choice and whatever. This is before we were vaccinated, too. And then I had friends who were really, really stringent about it. And I felt left out because I felt like I wasn't in their pod or I wasn't, like, allowed to go in their house. And I got it, but I was also sort of, like, felt left out in this weird way. And so when everyone got vaccinated, it got a lot better because then the people who wanted to get protected, like myself, got vaccinated, got protected, and then the people who didn't, and then we're all a little bit more on the same playing field. So, you know, I'm vaccinated and I like totally get the like pandemic restrictions and I follow them wherever I am. But at the same time, I was also like, well, I need to make friends in a new city. So it was just like, I'm gonna put myself out there and hang out with people and take the risk.
No, I completely get it. It's a crazy time. Now, tell me about your new EP and, you know, the writing process for all the songs on there.
So I wrote most of the songs in the first couple months of the pandemic, March and April 2020. My friend who lives in Nashville, Tristan Scruggs, shout out Tristan, he put out a songwriter challenge where every day you had to write about something. And this was so good for me because this was the first time I really started writing like a painter, where I was sort of like working on something every day and I wasn't too attached to the outcome. And so I wrote most of the songs that way, and then 5 of them that way. And then the other 2 I wrote in my first 2 months of living in Nashville. So really, and they were both of those times were times of great isolation. Like when I first moved to Nashville, I didn't have any friends, so I was alone a lot. And then in the pandemic, I was quarantined by myself. So I was both born out of isolation and boredom, and which I think are actually good places to write songs when you're isolated and bored. So I think that's why everybody's putting out an album right now, is because everyone wrote songs in the pandemic.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that did this. They're like, yeah, this came out of the pandemic. You know what was interesting for me, though, is my brain shut down during the pandemic. Like, I couldn't write. I wasn't motivated. In December 2020, I did get COVID. It was bad, but not bad enough to go to the hospital. But I was just non-motivated. And then 2021 came, and I was very motivated, and I released like 9 singles in 2021.
Nice. Wow.
So it was very crazy. But I understand you. Now I'm going to play your song "Loneliness or Solitude." Tell us what that's about.
Oh, cool. This is actually one of my favorite. I think this might be my favorite recording. I just love the way it turned out. This song I wrote after I found out that our UK tour was canceled. It was kind of the most upset I got about tour cancellations or show cancellations. Now when they cancel them, I'm just like, okay. But that tour, I was really upset. And it really made me realize that I had no control, and I had to just wait for everything to happen in its own time. So I just kind of wrote it a cappella, actually, which I never really do, because I just wanted to write like a Irish ballad. And so that was kind of my idea behind it. And then it became this whole like rock song.
Oh, I love it. Let's play it.
Cool.
Far away, a distant shore. Never did I want you more. Never did I mourn the drum of your heartbeats one by one.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks. That was cool to hear.
You have a beautiful
Thank
voice.
You.
I mean,
I appreciate that.
You were meant to do bluegrass country. That's definite. That's a definite. Yeah.
I know. Actually, you might enjoy this story. So I was training to drive. I was 16, right? And I was doing the driving training with this dude.
Right.
And I was driving and he was next to me and I was driving around the town and the Beatles came on and I was singing to it and he goes, wow, you have kind of like a country voice. You sound really country. And I was like, ew, I don't like country. And now that's like my entire life. It's kind of funny. I think my voice was always meant to sing bluegrass, country, Americana, but just didn't know it until later in life. Yeah.
Definitely, no, without a doubt. Have you thought about getting your song and doing sync and licensing?
Oh, I mean, what songwriter doesn't think about that? It's funny. I think people are always like, have you ever thought of doing Bonnaroo? It's like, yeah, I think about it every day. Thinking about it doesn't make it happen. It's definitely one of those things where that's why I moved to Nashville, because I feel like just being here and writing in this town and getting my music out in this town is how I could possibly maybe get into something like that.
You'd be surprised how many people I've spoken to and I said, have you ever thought about doing sync and licensing? They say, oh, no, not really.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
I want to buy a house someday. Yeah, of course it's all about sync and licensing.
Yeah, I like to do my own albums and stuff like that, but most recently, I've delved more into writing for sync, but I have to be motivated. I can't just be I can't just sit and write a song. I have to be inspired by something that I've watched, or a lot of my songs. I wrote a song last year, I think it was. I watched the show on Netflix and I was inspired, and this never happened. And I was like, oh, I want to write a song for this show, and I did. And it's just crazy, and or pitching things out there. It's just obviously we're not making money streaming. If you're touring, that's great. You're making some money there, but you got to find different avenues, and sync and licensing is just the place to do it now.
Yeah, I'm really right now touring doesn't really make me that much money right now. It's sort of a labor of love and investment. So I make my money and my rent and my bills teaching music, private music lessons. And most people in Nashville have something else that they do. And I think most musicians will own, a restaurant on Broadway. Or, there's a musician named Nikki Lane here that she owns a high-class thrift shop, like a vintage shop. And, I think most artists that are smart have other ventures, money really off your albums anymore. And, I was talking to my friend this morning about starting his own booking agency and publishing company, and I think that's a really good idea. So, I've thought about, publishing a instructional book for kids on guitar and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm always sort of thinking outside the box because I love performing, and it's definitely I'll do it it doesn't take that much to get me to perform in the right situation. But I mean, of course, it would be ideal if I could make good money playing out and with the syncing. And I mean, I think that's the dream, is to really, I don't think the dream is necessarily I want to be famous, but the dream is to I want to be stable and perform and do all these different things and have them all make enough income where I can live comfortably in society. That is kind of the updated dream.
I hear you. Now, what do you love most about being an artist?
And being in what?
What do you love most about being an artist?
I love the unconventional. My favorite thing about being an artist is my life has never lacked purpose. I've always known what I've wanted to do, and it's gotten me through a lot of tough situations, breakups, or, I had surgery on my voice, and that was as traumatic of an event as I've ever had, and I'm very lucky for that. But it's just I really had to clean up my act in order to be the best singer possible, and I don't think I would have ever done that if it hadn't been for the fact that I'm just really driven to
make art and to have people hear it and to perform it. So I feel like it's the thread that's run through my entire life and has given me my friends, my community, my finances, everything is because of this art and this desire to make it. And the desire for teaching, it's the desire to pass my knowledge along to others, which I love. I know some musicians don't like to teach and do it out of necessity. I love it. I love telling people about music. So I really think I'm really grateful to be an artist and a musician, because without it, I don't know. I don't even know what life would be like. So if this is my only life and I'm not going to get reincarnated or anything like that, then I feel very lucky that I'm an artist.
Amen to that. I love it. Now I'm going to play your song, Country Music Breaks My Heart. Tell me what that's about.
You have to say it with an accent. That's funny.
Country Music Breaks My Heart. And that's basically what it's about, right?
I'm sorry? That's basically what it's about, right? Yeah, I mean, it's basically about how sad music makes you happy. Or sad music doesn't make you happy, but when you're sad and you listen to sad music, it makes you feel better.
All right, let's play it.
Someone take me to back
Another hit.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Now, what are 3 things you wish you had known before you got into the music industry?
Oh, wow. 3 things I wish I had known. I wish oh my gosh. I'm flooded with emotion. I don't know. I kind of am really grateful about how naive I was in some ways. Like, I don't want to be like, I wish I had known how much people don't care about you or how much money. I guess I wish I had known how much money everything took. That might be the one thing. Like,
Amen.
how much money everything really costs. Because, I don't know. Like, I feel like I just maybe would have planned better, you know, with my money and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
Something like that. And then I wish I knew, like, that, you know, that I guess I wish I could have told myself, like, hey, this will take your entire life. It's not like you get discovered by somebody and then it's over. Like, this will take, this is a lifelong. But I'm glad I didn't know that, because the naive hope really carries you pretty far in the beginning. So,
right.
True. So, like, I would never dash a young artist's dreams. Like, the stuff. I'm sorry. I'm really distracted. My dog sees a squirrel outside and she's literally shaking.
She's like, I want to go after it.
She's having like an out of body experience. I wish I reacted to anything the way that my dog reacts to squirrels. It's something else. That's honestly, I wouldn't tell myself anything. I would be like, go forth, young one. Like, I don't regret a single thing. I really, really don't. And I know people say that all the time, but it's like, yeah, because like a lot of people got beat down by, like, when they went to music school or something. It kind of like made them think that they suck. And I never had a moment like that. I just was so naive and hopeful on this naive cloud that carried me through like the first 4 years of my band, through a lot of terrible gigs and a lot of terrible situations that I didn't know were terrible. So I'm glad I didn't know more. That's what I'm saying.
I like that. Yeah, no. You know, one of the things I learned, you just didn't know how hard the music business would be. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know. I guess I didn't know how long. I recently read one of my diaries from middle school, and it horrified me because I'm such like a Capricorn. Even as a child, I was like mapping out my life plan when I was 12. And by 30, I said I was going to have 3 kids and quit being a singer because I was going to retire from singing at 30. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
no.
Well, 30 seems really old when you're 12. So I think that's all it was. But yeah, I was going to move on to my magazine career because I was convinced that magazines were going to be, in rom-coms in the 2000s, every successful woman worked at a magazine. So I think that's really where it came from. Whereas I didn't know that magazines were going to not become relevant anymore.
It's just like you think, but the bottom line is like you only need that one big break, and things will just go all over the place. It's just, I keep saying it. That's just that one big break. That's all I need.
I think, you know, from what I've seen from a few of my friends that really have sort of broken through, is it's not really, you don't really have one big break. You have one really good year. Like, that seemed more likely. It's not like one thing's going to change your life, but 1 year, you might have the best year of your life, like where you literally play all your dream venues and do everything you've ever dreamed of. Like, I kind of think that's really possible. We're like, oh, crap, this is the year where I'm playing NPR Mountain Stage and, you know, Merle Fest and Red Rocks and Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, all in the same year. But it's like, but for 10 of those, for 10 years before that, you're just slogging, you know?
True. That's true. That is a different perspective on things. But I have seen people that's like, they do one thing and then it's all of it. You know, and like the people on TikTok or Reels and stuff like that, there's one guy, I think he's from Africa. All he does is look at somebody else's video that does something really hard or stupid or whatever, and he'll show you the basic way of doing it. And it's like, and the man is a multimillionaire just because he had that one idea. It kills me. One last question is, what inspirational quote, message, or saying do you like to use to motivate you, push you, if you do have one?
Inspirational quote. I don't really need a quote to be motivated. I actually use quotes to help me calm down because I need help more with that, to calm down, settle in, and to be more present, because I'm quite motivated and ambitious to a fault a little bit to myself. And so I actually think about, I say here and now to myself a lot. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I struggle with anxiety and future tripping and all that good stuff. So I actually just think, I've arrived, I'm here, this is the dream, right here in this moment, talking to you. I can even remind myself of that. So be here now is sort of one of my things I think about a lot.
All right. Well, that works for you. That is awesome sauce. Well, Erinn, thank you so much for being on Chatting with Nat. God, you have an awesome, beautiful voice. I can't wait for your album to come out so I can listen to it.
Thank you, Nat. Yeah, well, I'll definitely send you one when I get the physical copies in a few weeks.
Oh, please do. Play it on repeat.
Yes, I will for sure.
Play it on repeat. I learned a lot from you. You are awesome, especially now that you're a fur mama. It makes you even more special.
Yep.
Being a fur mama.
I'm still a mom, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not a mother to 3 kids, but I'm a mother to 2 animals, and I'll take it.
And hopefully one day we can do an IG live.
Ooh, that'd be super fun. Yeah, that'd be great. I love that.
Those are always super fun. But I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll be watching you.
Thanks, you too, Nat. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. That was Americana indie pop singer-songwriter Erinn Peet Lukes. She's awesome. She has a website, erinnpeetlukes.com. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram. She's on YouTube. She's on TikTok. She's on all the streaming platforms. Check her out. Until next time on Chatting with Nat. Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.